Joining me now at the table, Republican strategist Michael Singleton, CNN political commentator Karen Finney, former Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, and CNN opinion contributor Sophia Nelson, former House GOP Investigative Committee counsel. Look, we've all been champing at the bit tonight, reacting to everything. If you could see this panel right now, America, and how we've been reacting to every single interview, it's intense because this is a very intense moment. Yeah. None of us have seen anything really like this before. And here we are, Barbara in particular. Look, Republicans look very dysfunctional right now. They're being viewed as if they are punishing McCarthy for bipartisanship this past Saturday. How are you reacting to all this?
Well, this was a MAGA civil war. So, I think once Kevin made a deal with MAGA, this was bound to happen. So today you saw MAGA at its worst. And, you look at the Biden-Harris Twitter feed, it's all filled with little ads that they made with MAGA attacking Republicans today. So, Matt Gaetz and Nancy Mace and all these guys who, were attacking Republicans today, they provided great fodder for Democrats. So Joe Biden's the winner today. But MAGA also showed how they aren't fit to govern. While at the same time, Donald Trump was in his trial today, attacking some poor little clerk, showing, MAGA's unfit to be in the judicial branch. So the only place MAGA hasn't been doing a horrible job, fortunately, is MAGA's not in the White House right now. Thank goodness.
I'm going to take it one step further. In 2006, Democrats won in the midterms by talking about the Republican culture of corruption. I think this is the message, the Republican culture of dysfunction and chaos. It starts at the top with Trump. It goes, just look at what we've seen. We literally have people going home and we have no Speaker of the House.
On that point, I don't want to cut you off, but I want you to expand that because, look, what job do most people have where you can say, all right, nothing's going right, everything's going to hell? You know what?
Congress.
Congress sounds good to me. Congress.
How about, I just had the whole weekend off, but you know what? Now I'm not feeling like doing the job, so I'm just going to go away for another week. No. Nobody can, except for Republican members of Congress, apparently think that this is a good idea. But, here's the other thing. We're talking about, all of this blame on Democrats. And poor Nancy Pelosi's getting, attacked. Kevin McCarthy is blaming her. She's in California to attend a funeral, by the way.
Senator Dianne
For
Feinstein.
Senator Dianne Feinstein, her very dear friend. And, if you think about it, we keep saying, well, how come Democrats didn't jump in to say Republicans? You know what? 8 Republicans could have joined Democrats and made Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House. So why not
they
that?
Wouldn't. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't. Come on. They wouldn't do that. Democrats could have. They could have voted present. They didn't have to show up. But I'm not going to get into why they voted the way they did. We cannot absolve the politics in this. And I understand why. If I were a Democrat, I would have done the same thing.
But wait,
because it makes the Republicans look chaotic.
Hold on, just the American public to understand. By voting present, it would have lowered the threshold.
Yes, absolutely.
Explain a little more.
Yeah, but Laura,
I want to hear your point.
So it would have lowered the threshold, making it almost impossible for Gaetz and the 7 others to be victorious in vacating the Speaker. Democrats had that option. They didn't choose that option.
But it's not the Democrats' job. But Karen, it is not the Democrats' job to keep Republicans from killing other Republicans. That's not their job. That's our job to govern and to take our responsibilities seriously.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying politically they could have. I understand why they didn't, because the message is going to be Republicans are chaotic. They cannot govern. That is a palatable message.
But we didn't do that. You did that.
Hold on, wait. Everyone, I said champing at the bit, but we got to talk one at a time. There's probably a court reporter somewhere losing her mind, but it's not me. What's your point?
So my point is simply this. I think you have 18 Republicans who are now in districts that flipped to Joe Biden in 2020. Quite a few of them aren't going to likely win next year. You have Matt Gaetz, who, for the most part, is more than likely going to maintain his same position for whomever becomes Speaker. If it's Steve Scalise, who I think it will become, in order to change the rules, you're going to have to get Democrats to jump on board with Republicans because it's too late in the process. Now, the Congresswoman can speak to this better than I could. So more than likely, you're going to have the same issue in the next 45 days if they don't get what they want. I think that's problematic.
What's your thought, Congresswoman?
On whether they're going to have to join.
Well, in order to change the rules so that one person can't call to vacate the Speaker, Democrats would have to join some Republicans.
That would be nice if they would do that. Yeah. And I think you have a lot of these moderates who aren't MAGA people, who they've been politely trying to sit there and say, I mean, they've been calling these guys the knuckleheads that they are. And, it's very frustrating for them because they're the people who are governing. A lot of the people that you saw today, the Bob Goods, the Matt Gaetzes, these are people who don't pass bills. These are people who don't want to vote for budgets. They don't want the government open. These are the people who support Donald Trump, the $8 trillion budget buster guy. So they're all there whining about the budget. They're the ones who want Donald Trump back in there, who doesn't want to cut any budget. So they're full of it. And they're all jokers who don't know how to work with anybody. And you wouldn't want them, you don't want them in Congress. You wouldn't want them near your children. They couldn't, they just are not people
Laura, the
who
question
can
is,
be adult they need adult supervision and they don't know how to run anything.
Well, on that question, Sophia, at this point, there are calls now for Congressman Matt Gaetz to be ousted by some because there's a real criticism happening right now that a select few were able to best a majority of the Republicans.
Here's the question. The Republicans have to decide, and I like Steve Scalise. I think you probably do too, Barbara. I think he could govern. They have to change the rules, but Republicans have to make a fundamental choice in the conference this week, next week, whenever they're talking to each other, and that is that they want to govern. If they want to be bomb throwers and they want to be disruptors, they're doing a great job of that, but it's going to cost them the 2024 House. I think they're going to get beat badly. Look at the redistricting in New York and other places where those seats are talking about. I don't think they have a shot anyway, and they're making it a lot worse. Then that causes a problem for whoever the nominee is. I don't think it's going to be Trump. I'm going to say that on national TV. I actually think it's
nominee for the RNC or the
for the Republican Party. I don't think it's going to be Trump. And I do think people are going to put his name up, by the way, to be Speaker of the House as well. Look for that to happen as well.
So who's it going to be?
In fact, in January, during 2 of the 15 rounds of voting, a couple of people did actually write in Donald Trump. But look, I think the Republican Party, the brand of the Republican Party, has been so badly damaged by Donald Trump, and then again by the impact of what the MAGA wing of the party has done to just the brand of the party. I do just want to take a quick second, though, because on the other side of the House, in the Senate, I was honored to be there where we have our 3rd Black woman in the United States Senate. LaFonza Butler was sworn in by the Vice President of the United States of America. So something positive did happen today. Somebody lost a job and somebody got a new one.
Wow, what a silver lining. Karen Finney, that just would warm my heart for a moment, everyone. Of course, if you're Kevin McCarthy, you're like, thanks, Karen Finney. Everyone, thank you. Stand by for a moment here. There is so much more ahead of our breaking news coverage. McCarthy, by the way, is saying, forget it. He's not running for Speaker again. But will he resign his seat in Congress? Hear his answers on that in just a moment. Plus,